I grew up in Frederick, Wisconsin, small town, about 1,100 people.
We have our main street, and then we have 3 bars, and we have 2 hair places. We have a Dollar General, so that's kind of cool, and a grocery store.
And then there's a Holiday and a Subway. It's not a lot really is going on, you know. I like that. I feel kind of safe up here.
The best thing about Frederick is definitely the people in the community.
Everyone kind of's got everyone's back, and if there's a little drama, everyone will find out.
The con of living up here, though, is that, you know, you have to drive so many miles just to get somewhere.
The center of the town is the high school or the school, and a lot of the activities in the community take place around the school. Everybody knows everybody, and that includes exchange students. So when exchange students come, the community really embraces them.
Tim was a foreign exchange student that came from Kazakhstan. I heard his pretty cool accent and I wanted to keep talking to him, and I think I remember him talking about how he wanted to go to like New York and like LA, the big cities. And he was in this little tiny town, and he said, you know, it was pretty different from what he expected.
I believe he was about 16 when he was here. Probably the most energetic foreign exchange student I've seen. His energy was ridiculous. At times it was probably too much for some, but we learned to roll with it a little bit.
He always had a way of making everybody super happy, smile when you don't even feel like smiling.
No, he kind of just dove right into the high school aspect of things, like cheering loud at volleyball games and talking to everybody, so I think he settled in pretty quick.
The first week he was there, and it already seemed like he had made friends with everyone.
He took more selfies with other people than I've ever seen. He looked at everybody as a friend.
I think he knew the girls had a thing for him, but I think he played it safe.
The thing that impressed me about Tim was his confidence. It wasn't a cockiness, but Tim was comfortable with himself. He enjoyed people, and he wanted to experience everything to the full. You could see that right from the very first meeting of Tim.
He was very active in show choir, which is where I kind of became friends with him.
Not only did he have like a really good voice, but he got really into the music. So as we're like practicing, if you like looked at him, he was like swaying or dancing to it.
When I first kind of talked about religion with Tim, we were in a history class. I guess the class below us was making these poster boards about different religions. And one of them was atheism, and he was telling me that he was an atheist. And so I was like, all right, you know, that's his deal.
It was a normal day. We were going to go to our hockey game, which was in Pine City, Minnesota. And we had to meet a bus in Grantsburg, which is 18 miles away from Frederick. We got to my friend's house. We put our stuff in his truck like usual. And I got in the middle of this, and my friend was driving, and Tim was sitting in the passenger seat. But my friend's radio doesn't work, and Tim was very, very good at music. We were going, and he was singing. I was on the phone with my hockey coach telling him that we might be a little bit late. I was still talking to my coach when the back end kind of went out a little bit. And we thought, okay, icy roads. He's going to get this under control. But then the truck started to turn more, and then I don't remember exactly what I did with the phone, but Tim kept singing. That was not stopping him. Realized that we were gonna go off the road, so we braced as much as we could, and we hit the tree. I couldn't move my legs very well, so I climbed out of the vehicle, and I realized Tim's not waking up, and the other boy he's screaming because of his neck. Tim, I'm like sitting there with him. I didn't see him breathe again.
I got a text from somebody. It just said, there's been an accident and Tim's dead. And I was like, Tim who? I was like, Tim who? I was in shock. It was a really intense moment, and I couldn't even believe it.
No, I just talked to him after school telling him good luck at his hockey game.
Tim's passenger side, right next to him, slammed into the tree, and he was pronounced dead at the scene, and the other two were taken to Burnett County Hospital.
When the news got out, everything shut down. The basketball game and the music festival, everything stopped.
I remember that night, the second basketball game was canceled, and we all went into the library. It got to a point where everybody was quiet, and there was just a lot of sadness in the room.
The other two boys in the car with him loved him to death. They truly were brothers, and we all knew as a town that we didn't just lose a foreign exchange student. We lost a member of our school district, of our community.
I cried and cried, and I still cry sometimes, but just thinking about what do his parents think? What are they gonna feel?
I know one of my close friends got him interested in coming to our youth group. His dad's the pastor at our church. Just kind of wondering who Jesus was in general and kind of why we believed what we believe in the first place.
We were very excited when he came along on the trip to districts last year. He was curious about everything.
Jared, him and I up in our hotel room just kicking it, watching some college football. Maybe this God thing is real, but why should I believe him? I've never believed him up until this point. Maybe I've done too much stuff wrong to even worry about it. So
He was a philosopher. He thought deeply about things. He didn't take anything at face value. And I think as he began to hear the gospel, he was really to give serious consideration to the claims that were being made.
I'm not sure how it happened, but Tim got separated from the group that Saturday night, so he wasn't with us. And he ended up sitting way up in the far right corner off by himself up against the wall. And he came back up to the room afterwards, and it was Jared, Will, and I there, and he kind of walked in, sat down on the bed, and he was pretty quiet compared to what he usually was, and he told us, I just accepted Christ. So that was shocking to me because I didn't know where he was. I didn't know where his head was at. So wow, what can God do with stuff like this?
Oh my goodness, like he just gave himself to Christ, and he was coming over and thanking the youth group and everyone in it, and it was great.
He came back almost a whole different person. He wanted to do everything for the glory of God. A couple nights before the accident happened, we sat down and talked for about 3 hours that night. Laying in our beds were just diagonal from each other, so we were able to talk. And him and I just talked about what it meant to be Christian, what it meant to be a brother, what it meant for us to be on this earth. And he more or less taught me that night. It showed me that God is real. There's no other way I could see someone to change like that. For someone to go from coming and talking to me at night and saying, I believe in something, but I don't know what I believe in, to now, Christ is real and God is my Father.
The choir director asked all the students to choose a song as they looked at a website and select something that they wanted the choir to sing. And he was the first and only one to respond to that.
And what do you know, Tim left us a little gift. And the song was called Pie Jesu.
And it's written in Latin, which bridges the language gap to all nations. And when that's translated, the message of Pie Jesu says, "Merciful Jesus, who takes away the sin of the world, grant them rest."
Lamb of God, Father, who takes away the sins of the world, grant them rest, everlasting rest.
That became his message to all of us. And it turns out that that was the song that the choir sang at his memorial service.
I didn't realize how much emotion can be in a song until we started to sing that. We had all the bleachers set down and chairs in the front. We had the stage all ready to go.
The entire community turned out. It was a huge deal, filled the gym. Everybody was wearing super bright colors.
A lot of people were wearing, crazy socks and crazy hats that Tim was always wearing.
Tim's brother, Raphael, came to the United States, was part of that service. He was told the story of Tim selecting that song, and he was told the words that were chosen. And his brother Raphael, who himself is uncertain that there's a God or has really never considered that, he pointed up and he said, "How could that be a coincidence?" He said, "There must be." And he didn't finish his sentence, but if I were to finish his sentence, what he was really saying was there must be a God. He couldn't see any other way that that could have happened by chance.
Tim was a guy who was ready to try anything, and once he heard about God's love for him, he jumped right on it.
It's so easy with our world today to, close off and put God on the back burner and to say, I'll be okay. I asked for forgiveness once, I'm set. But if you open your hearts and really allow Him to work with you, you can truly understand how wonderful and great God is, and that He loves you. I know some people might not understand that, but He loves you with everything in Him. The Bible even says that He thinks about you more times in a day than there are the grains of sand. That's a lot. And He loves you and He wants to be a part of your life. And you just need to open yourself up for that.